It is sports stuff with Jim and Muff
And the homies?
and the homies. The homies are all here.
Hello, homies.
Do we have to really introduce all the homies at this point?
What if there's new listeners?
So that's Sam.
Oh,
And they need to catch the hell up.
So says Nate. I like
I'm
how
Alex.
the guru of glitter who is sequestered to the sweatshop is the first one to pipe up about it.
Right?
I don't want to be left out.
Our energy is low, guys. We got to bring the energy. This is the start of week 0. Let's get pumped. Our sport is back. Let's go.
I'm pumped.
Nate, are you pumped?
Yeah, pumped and sore, getting ready for this Friday.
So we're just going to jump right into it. Nate was on the field last week doing his beanbag bopping, and not the type of bopping that happens in the bedrooms. But Nate, tell us about week 1. Was it week 0 for you or is it week 1?
But
Depends how you look at it. Week 1 in the state of Ohio, West Virginia kicks off this week for high school football.
Anything memorable? Anything of note aside from being sore?
It was a first game with my new crew this year. Also, first varsity game for a new official, and we have, of course, had to deal with roughly
Hour and a half regular.
about an hour and a half lightning delay with
Ugh.
5 minutes left in the game.
oh, that's the worst. It's one thing when it's like before the game starts or like you have a whole game left, but like when you're that close to the end.
Well, if it wasn't for being a TV game with all the media timeouts, and then they used every single timeout on both teams in the first half, so that elongated the game. And then the second half, everybody starts cramping because they're not hydrated. They're not quite in game shape yet. And there's like 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the one trainer for the home team comes up to me. She goes, "Hey, I have my radar up. There's lightning 4 miles away." I said, "There is 6.5, 7 minutes left in this game, and I haven't seen one strike of lightning yet. We're finishing this game." So she goes off the field. Very next play, 2 kids go down cramping again. And then she comes back up. She goes, I hear thunder. We got to do something about it now. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And like, I didn't hear anything. Took my earpiece out and I heard it. And then we all look at each other. And there's a big flash of lightning. And we're like, okay, we're done for a little bit.
Damn.
What did you do during that time?
We basically just sat in our locker room, which in this case was a classroom, and had to wait it out. And then we come back out and it was a 4th down play. The team went in. We're like, all right, they need 1 yard, and then they keep running the clock. And what do? Score a touchdown. Very next play, opening kickoff, return for a touchdown. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This game just can't end. So a game that kicked off at 7 with an hour 15, hour and a half rain delay, I think we got off the field around 11:30.
Do you have to stay inside? Like, you can't go outside and just kick it?
I mean, at that point, I wasn't going to go outside and kick it, but we basically just have to keep track of that in the game personnel, like the home administration also has to keep track of if there's any more lightning, any more thunder. We got to reset the clock every time we hear it or see it. 30 minutes starts.
Why thunder? Lightning I get, but like thunder's not dangerous.
Because thunder means a storm is more imminent than if lightning's in the distance.
Gotcha. Damn.
Sucks. I once in high school we had a storm that actually postponed the game after the first quarter, and we had to come back on Saturday to finish the game.
That's the thing now is a lot of teams, especially early in the year, they don't play teams that are close or conference opponents. But in my case, it was a conference game, but the visiting team coach says, I'll stay till 2 a.m. because we're not coming back tomorrow. And at that point, it's not up to us. It's up to the 2 schools if they're going to play the game, resume it, come back tomorrow. I actually had that happen a couple years ago. First game, teams are getting ready to take the field. We went into a storm delay, and the weather forecast was not getting any better after like an hour and a half, and they finally called it, and we came back and played the game the next day.
All right. So there's Nate's week 1 experience. Obviously, we have 16 days to NFL football, and NCAA football week 0 is upon us. Today is Tuesday, August 22nd. In this week's episode, we will be covering the NFC North. We will continue to talk about other football topics and breaking down the Big Ten West And by breaking down, we're going to have a discussion, a roundtable discussion.
I'm excited. You all are flat.
What?
You're all flat. You're just not bringing it. Muff's hungover from his birthday week.
Birthday. It's his birthday.
Nate's tired from, his exercise he's been doing. I don't know what your excuse is.
I mean, not all of us can
On
bring
weekend.
not all of us can bring the energy, Jim, like your children on the first day of school.
God damn. You ain't kidding. I got Rampage Jackson for a 3-year-old.
Have around and find out.
Their weekly check-in. The Pittsburgh Pirates are. Does anybody even know?
Done. Let's Let's move on.
I
That
just
was-
saw they're up 8-1 right now, but who cares? There's football this week.
Okay.
Whoa!
Football is supreme. Pittsburgh Pirates, as is typical, are not competitive in August. So here we
Should
go.
we let the listeners know, when's the betting show going to start?
I don't know.
Why do
before
you do this, Jim?
before the NFL starts?
What? We should at least start it during week 1 of college football.
Should we?
This is week 0, though.
Isn't that when the NFL starts?
I don't know. That is it?
Like not this week, but next.
I'd say next week, right, Muff? Muff's all official now, so I got to make sure.
I mean, sure, we can do it.
That's Mr. Muff to you.
You right?
Professor Muff.
But the real question, right? This is what happens when Jim brings up topics like this with no plan.
Why do you do this to us, Jim?
When do you want to record, Jim?
I said we do it not this week, but next.
What day of the week, Jim?
Oh, don't we do it on Wednesdays?
Oh, we sure do a lot of things on Wednesdays. Yeah, that works for me to record on Wednesdays.
All right. So Thursdays we will have the dropping of the betting show.
Drop it like it's hot.
Starting next Thursday.
Boom. We
All
got
right.
people wanting to be guests, so I gotta line stuff up.
Oh dear.
People are interested.
Are there people interested?
Yes, very much so.
As in multiple people or one person?
Yes, multiple people.
Okay, well, there it is. We're apparently going to have guests on the betting show this year.
People are
More
pumped.
guests. People are pumped. Well, tell them to bring the energy, Jim.
I will, because apparently you guys ain't got it. Let's go.
You say "let's go" with this monotone voice, as if you think that makes it exciting.
Let's go.
All right,
Let's
Muff.
go.
Let's go. Now let's get on to the NFL.
Oh, you gotta go. Let's go. Let's
Ravens
go.
look to continue the preseason streak alive as they currently taking on the Commanders. Live looking, Nate. What's the score, bud?
Right now, 7-3 Ravens.
Ooh, feeling good about it. Feeling
Is this
good.
not the off season?
No, we're in it now.
You get it?
No.
Not necessarily.
In it to win it?
We're in it. We got to keep trucking. On a somber note, T's and P's to Patriots rookie cornerback Isaiah Bolden, who was carted off the field after absorbing a hit from a teammate in the fourth quarter after their preseason game versus Green Bay. Teams mutually agreed to end the game as a result. Thoughts on this?
I have an
Preseason?
old man on the porch take, I think.
I'm with Alex, I think, on this. Muff, you said it's preseason.
It's preseason. I mean, at that point, you're potentially risking injury for the players that had to sit there and wait. Why?
Oh, fair point, Muff. That's a great
Okay.
point.
Okay. That's a fair
Great
point.
I think you just.
I'm
took us
thinking
off
of it
the
more
point.
as I mean, he was moving all his extremities. He didn't need CPR. I mean, injuries happen in football. We play the game. You know what I mean? Like the Lamar Hamlin situation, absolutely understand. You just watch someone get literally resuscitated back from the dead. Like, I get it. You need a break. Someone's not moving their extremities. I could also understand that would be somewhere that you're like, oh man, that's a lot. They're moving their extremities and awake and alert. You gotta play on. But I didn't think about the downtime and getting cold. And then what time in the game was this? I know that's bad, but I don't.
Fourth quarter.
Okay.
There's 5 or 6 minutes left, maybe.
Yeah, it
Does
just
that
seems
sound right?
it just seems weird to me to just quit the game. I just don't want to see that become a weird, to be
Yeah,
honest.
This is a regular season game. Play on. Preseason game, who cares?
Fair
Okay,
enough.
fair.
Fair enough.
At that point, you've seen everything you need to see from your guys by then. If not, that's on you.
That's fair.
Also, T's and P's to Seahawk Alex Collins,
Former Seahawk, yeah.
who passed away. But we don't know the cause of death. Last I had checked. Anybody else?
So I had saw that he was in a motorcycle accident
Ah,
Oh,
and ended up in the back seat of an SUV, and he was the one driving the bike.
that's not good.
damn. Signings. Let's dig into the signings. Go ahead, Muff or Nate.
So I threw these in there real quick because we talked about all three of these guys last week, and lo and behold, they heard us and said, "Okay, we gotta get signed here." So
So you're saying we
Dallas-
did this?
yeah,
I like that, Nate. Go ahead.
so offensive guard Zach Martin, the Cowboys, gets a deal done, 2 years, 36 mil. I think that's really going to set the market for the offensive line. That's not a left tackle. And then the one that kind of surprised me, Zeke Elliott, 1 year deal up to $6 million with incentive with the Patriots.
That
I don't
shocked me
see
too.
any incentive there to sign with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And then finally, Dalvin Cook, also a 1 year, but up to 8.6 with incentives with the Jets.
Boys got the bag there, I think. I think the running backs there went out.
I think Dalvin Cook is underpaid at this point, but
Do you think
Yeah, but
so?
I don't think the Jets had much money to give him.
right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers reworked his deal to help that. Not necessarily it was specifically for Dalvin Cook, but it helped that situation.
I mean, Dalvin, I think between him and Zeke, Dalvin had the most options, it seemed like. Dalvin could go to the Jets, he can go to the Dolphins, he basically can go wherever contender he really wanted, where Zeke was like, okay, sign a team-friendly deal to go back to Dallas, you can go to New England. I mean, I don't think Zeke, wherever he went, was going to be RB1.
No, because he's on the
No.
James Harden diet right now. I mean, you see him? He's looking pretty chunk.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? Was it last year or 2 years ago? One of his teammates put his practice jersey on with a big gut hanging out, kept doing the Zeke feed me.
Yeah, he's thick.
He's-
Not quite Eddie Lacy thick, though.
No.
That's a different level.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning has joined me in the ranks of the faculty. He's going to be teaching classes at Tennessee in the College of Communications. Welcome to the club, Peyton.
Good enough.
Could you imagine how many people want to sign up for that? Like, if I wasn't even my major, I'd be like, I want to take that class just because I want to say I took a class with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, they'll be my elected for the year.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. Well, who better than to teach something in the communications realm than Peyton Manning?
Yeah, no, and
Who's
he
just
right.
grown his empire at this point. So that's a win for Tennessee and for those students.
We'll
Agreed.
talk more on this in another segment, but I agree with you, Muff. Colts have given Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade after Jim Irsay previously said we ain't trading him.
I think they just don't really care anymore. They're probably like, we're good. We'll figure it out
I
without
think
you.
preseason kind of ironed out some of the fears and doubts they had about people behind him.
I think it's
mean,
almost more of a slap in the face to Jonathan Taylor to be like, yeah, we're good without you. See ya.
Yeah.
I mean, in
Yeah.
other news, Jim Irsay's worker whale has passed away. So I think he's in.
There was a moment of
Yeah.
silence.
Was that his?
Well, he was very intimately involved with what was happening with Lolita. And
They're saying stay spiraling downhill first the whale, and now he says, "Screw you, Jonathan Taylor, get out."
I mean, I think we need to be on the Jim Irsay watch as far as making sure he's not getting in any nose
white
candy
dust.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, he wanted to save the swale, and because of the pushback from the Miami Seaquarium or whatever it's called, they killed the whale. He probably thought, if I can't save the whale, I can't save Jonathan Taylor.
Sign
Just-
from God.
Swim out in the Pacific Ocean, my friend.
Hmm.
You find your ocean. I don't want to trap you here in this enclosure and have the same fate that Lolita had.
Go find your corner of the sky like Pippin.
Let that free bird fly.
My corner of the sky.
All right. Michael Orr comes out.
Too much energy, and Jim shuts it down.
That was too much.
You want to talk about Jimmy Graham?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, let's go to Michael Orr first. Michael Orr says the blind side was a lie and alleges that the family that adopted him didn't adopt him.
The blind side, in and of itself, isn't necessarily a lie. He said they
I
did.
know you think that movie feels good, but he says it's a lie.
No, I think he says it's exaggerated. I mean, this family did take him in, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, he thought he was getting adopted by the family. So the premise of this story is not necessarily a lie, but what they did to him was straight up wrong. To say, "Oh yeah, sign these papers and you'll be adopted," but actually, we just own you.
Now the little brother in the movie comes out and
SJ.
says he knew it. He knew all along that was the deal.
See, did he?
Yeah, Saul.
No, I saw where he said that he knew the lawsuit was coming.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that Michael Orr has attempted to push something with this. Like when the movie came out, I think shortly after he made mention that like, hey, this is exaggerated and dramatized a little bit more than you might expect. And it was a conservatorship. So they pretty much did the Britney Spears treatment to him.
Yeah, literally, we should be doing Free Michael like we did Free Britney.
This is weird. Kind of weird.
I said I wish that I was someone who had so much money that I would just not notice that I wasn't getting millions of dollars from something. Because he's like, yeah, I didn't realize like we're all getting money. Like, how do you just accidentally not realize that your family's getting millions of dollars? You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine being that rich that millions of dollars floating around just escapes you?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, same thing. He looking into a possible misappropriation of $12 million investment into his father's company, saying basically that family members took his money and ran. So not a good look for families in the NFL. And Jimmy Graham. Somebody want to tackle Jimmy Graham?
No.
I don't think we
Oh,
could
really?
if he was arrested like he was. Yeah, apparently Jimmy Graham was, and this is, I haven't seen anything aside from the preliminary report, was taken into custody, aka arrested, suffered a potential seizure, and was taken into custody because he seemed very disoriented, walking around wherever he was. Now, Jimmy Graham, one of the most interesting men in the world, is like a pilot. He does like cycling races, cycling things, and is just back in the NFL because somebody said, "Yeah, we'll sign you and give you an opportunity to training camp." So Jimmy Graham has a lot going on in his life, and he was actually in a pretty significant pedal bike crash in which he was hit by a car in the off season. I don't know if he has had seizures in the past. That is something I can't speak to, but this seems like he was taken into custody because he was suffering from some medical condition or side effects of something, and then afterwards they're like, oh crap, this guy's just like, something's really wrong, and then he went to the hospital.
Well, he could be having I mean, he could be post-ictal when you come out of a seizure. People are very like lethargic and confused often.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
So see what comes of that, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be like legal action in the future.
So that's the news in the NFL. Now on to the NFC North breakdown.
In the NFC North last year, we saw Minnesota with a runaway taking the division title at 13-4. In second place, somehow, were the Detroit Lions at 9-8. After their Week 18 win against third place finisher, the Green Bay Packers, which knocked them out of the playoffs with an 8-9 record. And then there were the Chicago Bears, the worst team in the NFL last year, at 3-14. Lots of fun. Lots of fun in this division. Lots of things that are going to be potentially changing the shape of this division this year. Obviously, we have in Chicago, Justin Fields taking over in his second year. Obviously, played last year as well. Jordan Love getting his first shot with the Packers. A lot of talk around Jared Goff in Minnesota without Dalvin Cook. Some of the things going on, starting with the Bears, they brought in DJ Moore, who has already had an immediate impact on that offense in the preseason. Also brought in Mercedes Lewis at tight end, Yannick Ngakoue at D end, and Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. They lost David Montgomery at running back, which at this point the running back market is what it is. And Riley Reiff on the offensive line. In the draft, they picked up offensive tackle Darnell Wright from Tennessee, Gervon Dexter, a defensive tackle from Florida, and Tyreek Johnson, defensive back from Miami. Obviously, other players in it include Justin Fields, Cole Kmet at tight end, Chase Claypool. I don't know why he's a player of note aside from a sour note. Safety
What a
Eddie
bitter ass
Jackson
Caesar.
and Jim. I
No,
should not be bitter because the
no,
Steelers won that deal.
yes.
I'm saying he's going to
He's
be
a
he's an
locker
underperformer.
room cancer.
Look at the
Yeah,
injuries
right now
coming
I think
out.
he's wide receiver 2 on that team behind DJ Moore.
I
We'll
said
see. We'll see.
We'll
Okay.
see.
we will see. He's already proved it, but we'll see farther.
I think he'll be. I think he'll.
Jim,
come
we
out
wanted
okay.
him gone. We don't.
He'll
Literally,
come
I
out-
said he's a locker room liability. I don't want the Steelers don't put up with locker room liabilities.
Oh, I know. You and the Rooneys are best friends. Let's go. Keep
That's-
going.
Antonio Brown kept it together in Pittsburgh. That's all I'm saying.
No lies have been told. Moving on to the Detroit
Packers.
Lions,
Oh, we're moving on to the Detroit Lions. Sorry.
because they were never mind. To the Packers. Additions in the defensive backfield include Travarius Moore and Jonathan Owens. Losses include Aaron Rodgers, obviously a quarterback, and Alan Lazard, who went for the trek to the New York, and a big old Bobby Tunyon at tight end. In the draft, the Packers took linebacker Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, Luke Musgrave, a tight end out of Oregon State, and Sean Clifford, quarterback out of Penn State. Other players of note, obviously, we have Jordan Love at quarterback. In the running back room, we have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. David Bakhtiari, who I haven't heard anything new about trade rumors with him, aside from they're saying he's not leaving, and Jair Alexander at cornerback.
Or so is Sean Clifford their second? Is QB2?
I think Sean Clifford is in some type of competition for QB2. I don't think he is QB2.
I was just wondering if like the Packers were going to be a quarterback production facility for Muff's favorite quarterbacks. I know Sean Clifford take the role of Aaron Rodgers in your heart if he comes through and ends up being the Packers.
I don't think he will ever reach the level of Aaron Rodgers in the professional level, and he's probably
Or
going
in
to
Muff's
be
heart.
well, definitely not in my heart.
Right.
So you can get
He's
that right
blinded. He's blinded by the Aaron Rodgers light.
Yeah. Just blinded.
Jordan Love does not look good though, right?
He has
No.
had some bad clips come out about him.
Yep. So my question is, in fantasy, do I keep Aaron Jones because he's going to have a big year because they're not going to be able to pass the ball as much?
That doesn't mean he's going to have a big year. That just means he's going to get carries and might get hurt.
Oof,
That or they're going to just key on him and make Jordan Love beat him.
Yeah.
true.
So goes the plight of Alex trying to figure out his keeper.
I have selected my keepers. There's time still.
There is still
There's
time.
time.
There is time to make that change. Next, moving on to the Lions from Detroit. Key additions include Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, CJ at defensive back, Cam Sutton at quarterback, and Marvin Jones Jr. at wide receiver. They lost Michael Brockers on the defensive line, DJ Shark at wide receiver, Jeff Okuda at quarterback, and Jamal Williams in the running back spot. In the draft, they picked up running back out of Bama, Jahmyr Gibbs, linebacker from Iowa, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, tight end from Iowa, and QB from Tennessee, Hendon Hooker. Other players of note include Jared Goff at starting quarterback, Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver, Penei Sewell on the offensive line, and Aiden Hutchinson in the defensive line.
Fuck that guy.
I'm still on the Lions.
I thought once people got to the NFL, you didn't care about the Michigan thing,
I just
Jim.
don't like him.
What don't you like about him, Jim?
I
That
just
he's
don't
from
like.
Michigan.
I don't like his swagger. I
love it.
just don't like him.
He acts like a Bosa.
I don't like him.
Do you like
I'm
the
allowed not
Bosas?
to like somebody.
Do you like the Bosas?
I'd like one, but not the other.
The one that plays for your team?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Joey.
What if Joey didn't play for the Chargers?
I still like Joey. Like if Joey went to like the Steelers, I'd still be a fan.
But Lions are primed, as many people think, for some type of breakout year under Motor City Dan Campbell. So they're going to gnaw on ankles all the way to a winning season, many think. And lastly, last year's champions who had a lot of screen time on quarterback, the quarterback series, the Vikings, who bring in linebacker Marcus Davenport, linebacker Troy Reader, and N'Keal Harry at wide receiver. To offset, obviously, we have Dalvin Cook as a loss, Adam Thielen from wide receiver, Patrick Peterson, who went to Alex.
Patrick Peterson.
Yep. Okay, Alex, I'm glad you're a good football fan of Pittsburgh. Linebacker Eric Kendricks, another loss in the draft. They picked up Jordan Addison at
He
wide
just got
receiver.
froze. Look, he hasn't moved. It was a Zoom thing. He knew all along. It was a Zoom issue. That's all.
Alex?
Patrick Peterson went to the Steelers.
Yeah, Zoom was stuck. That's all.
Okay. In the draft, the Vikings picked up wide receiver Jordan Addison
Actually,
from
had to dig
USC.
my records here.
Okay. Guy Black and cornerback from USC and Jay Ward DB from LSU. Other players of note include Kirk Cousin at quarterback, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, Alex Madison at running back, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, and Harrison Smith in the defensive backfield.
One would think that the losses of Cook and Thielen would be detrimental to this Vikings offense. I'm not sure that's the case.
Yeah, I think Alexander Madison's proved his worth there. So losing Dalvin Cook isn't as huge as it could be. And plus, I think TJ Hawks is still there. Thielen really wasn't getting the receptions with Justin Jefferson drawing all the eyes. So really, I think it's going to come on to guys like Jordan Addison and someone else to really step up and make plays for them.
Yep, I agree with that.
See if the defense, right? Defense had some issues at times last year, like the Colts game, even though they ended up winning that game, that was still not a good look for their defense. And can Kirk Cousins stay healthy? Something I think we got from quarterback
Yes.
Old boy was taking some shots and may have been lucky to get on the field some weeks.
Yeah, hopefully his ribs are better.
Yeah. Which brings us to our predictions in the NFC North.
I'll go first. The fuck was that?
Like Game of Thrones, King of the North.
All right, I'll go first. I got the Bears bring up the rear at 6-11, Packers at 7-10, Lions at 9-8, and the Vikings at 10-7.
Alex?
I have the Bears at 6-11 as well, bringing up the rear. The Packers at 7-10, and I have the Vikings and Lions both around 11-6. I think I'm gonna ride with the Lions winning the division, though. Stay true to my boys.
Fair enough.
Are you and Jim gonna ride the Lions?
Yep.
Oh no,
I am.
Oh no, he's on his own.
Jim's not good. Not going.
This happened last. No, this happened last year. I feel at the beginning of the year, and then the Lions started making some headway, and Jim's like, "You know what? I'm with Alex. We're gonna ride the Lions."
And then they started losing.
And then Jim's like,
No,
"I never was on the Lions."
that's not true. I owned it. I owned it with you, and then I
I know
bet.
you did jump on a few games in, and then you did own it once it happened.
But now I'm telling you, I'm not jumping on with you.
I'm on it though. I'm staying on
Yep.
the bucking Bronco of the Lions.
Sam, what do I always say about the Lions?
It's something about them playing on Thanksgiving
Correct.
because they always lose.
I always say it's not Thanksgiving until the Lions lose.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Nate, what are your thoughts on this year?
So last place, I have the Bears again this year at 5-12, followed by Green Bay at 7-10. Alex's Detroit Lions in second place at 9-8, and the Vikings winning the division yet again at 11-6.
I know. Here's my problem. Now that I've watched all of quarterback now, and I've become more of a Kirk Cousins fan.
Mm-hmm. He's just very relatable.
So I'm very torn now between the Vikings and the Lions.
Well, we're gonna figure it out at some point. And I have the Packers bringing up the rear at 6-11, the Bears at 7-10, Lions at 10-7, and the Vikings at 11-6, winning the NFC North.
All
I
right.
think with all of our
Final thoughts.
I'll say with all of our predictions here, if the Packers are a losing team, do we think that they start selling? Like, when I say sell, I mean you get rid of guys like whether it be AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones to try to get a haul for him.
No,
I forget what Jordan Love's contract situation is right now. Does he have 1 or 2 years left in his rookie deal?
Do not
2,
know.
I think.
Okay, so they're going to ride Jordan Love in the last years of his rookie deal to try to get squeeze as much as they can out of that. So I think they got 2 years to figure out if they can be competitive with the core of what they have.
Because I think Aaron Jones just signed a new deal last year.
That sounds right.
I think they'll ride it out. I don't think they'll sell anything.
I mean, David Bakhtiari might be a sell after the season, but he's been hurt. So I think they can get away with that. All right. That's the NFC North. And next week, we're going to chat about the NFC South before we get to the AFC North and the last NFL breakdown before we get into Thursday Night Football in the NFL in September. Which brings us to the first of our college football discussions, starting with the Big Ten West.
I feel like Jim has a thing for this too. Oh wait,
No.
no, that's during the actual season when we go over the college football games. College football breakdown. That one.
Yeah, it's not time yet. Not time.
Sorry. Okay, sorry, I got excited.
So the 7 teams that are there: Purdue, Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern. I believe that this is a tale of who will show up when. And honestly, in my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, will Luke Fickell bring Nebraska around?
Wisconsin.
I apologize.
It's because you always want to bet on Nebraska and they
I
lose to
know.
them.
I know.
Like, I need
That's
one of my
what I
guys
think.
up there.
That's what I think. Will he bring Wisconsin around? That's what I believe.
You believe he will, or you believe that's a
That's
thing?
the question mark.
Okay.
Okay. So, from my opinion, Minnesota's chances of winning the division simply ride on the game between Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's it for the division. Okay. Sure, they play Nebraska. Sure, they play Iowa, Illinois. But I really think the game that matters for Minnesota is the Wisconsin game. What do you all think?
I think those teams
yeah.
are got to be the ones that are expected to make noise this year. I mean, Wisconsin makes the splash hire or bring in Fickle, and you're going to expect him to win right away. And PJ Fleck, I think at this point, it's time to nut up or shut up.
I'm going to call right now. Illinois is my surprise winner.
Okay, so Muff.
They came on strong throughout the last year. They have a very interesting offensive attack, and they were sneaking up on teams last year. They were did they end top 25?
Yes.
Yeah,
Teams,
Illinois is my sleeper pick to win this division right now.
Teams that Illinois has to walk through to get there. In the division, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska.
I'm only worried about Wisconsin in that list.
So you think that they'll beat Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska pretty easily?
Yeah, I'm trying. Why is Minnesota that team for you? Minnesota lost their starting quarterback.
Okay.
I think they lost their star running back.
They weren't great to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what makes Minnesota that team. Yeah, Jim, they row the boat, but apparently the players don't like to row the boat because they're mad
That's
that
true.
they had to do it all in the same clothes.
I don't think Minnesota has a schedule that's like, bleh. There's nothing there. Whereas I think Illinois, who also has to play Penn State, they have to play Wisconsin. Iowa's tough. You don't know what Nebraska you're getting. Illinois, that's a couple punches in the face.
Yeah, but we were talking about before we started, this whole division usually cannibalizes themselves anyway. So I don't think Illinois losing to a Penn State puts them out of it. It just means that they need to
But I'm saying
win against
for
these
morale,
lesser teams.
the morale of it. How many punches can Illinois take before they actually have to lose to before one of these teams catches it?
But
Whereas I think Minnesota, they won't get got as easily by a Purdue, a Nebraska, because I don't think they're gonna get too many punches in the face. They have OSU and Michigan, sure, but they're gonna just lay down for them.
Well, how does that not hurt their morale? Like Illinois' morale might get hurt.
Because it's a constant beating. The rest of Minnesota's schedule is pretty light. I could be wrong. I don't disagree with you. I see your logic.
Yeah. I was saying, like, if you get beat by 30 plus by two teams, I think that puts you in a bad spot.
Sure. Look, we can all agree now Purdue's out. Purdue has to walk through all of them plus Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah, I would say Purdue's is not the team that's going to make their way through that somehow.
So Purdue's
No,
done.
but they'll beat somebody they're not supposed to beat.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do it every year.
Yeah, they'll catch somebody, but like
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to be Ohio State.
maybe. I'm not going to deny that.
I have no idea if the game's in Ohio State at Columbus, then it's not happening. Not even a little bit.
Now, I also think Northwestern dead on arrival.
Well, yes.
So those two are out.
I mean, they're going to have halftime games, right, where they sling people across the field in their skivvies.
So I don't think you're wrong, Muff. Illinois, not bad. What do we think Nebraska's out?
yes,
Yeah, I think it's going to take them at least a year or two to really start to really build that program back up under the new regime.
I don't think I should vote on that one.
No, you need to. You need to give your honest thoughts. That way we can hold you to them whenever you try to bet on them.
I would not rule them out.
All I heard people was when Nebraska's under is plus 10 or higher, then
Yeah.
Jim's going to automatically take them.
No, we have a rule in place.
What, that Alex tells you stop?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to bet on them. So we got
We
to
all
narrow
follow
down to
these rules so well.
Wisconsin, Illinois. I think Muff's convinced me no on Minnesota. So Wisconsin and Illinois. Alex, what are your thoughts?
those are the two I narrowed it down to, and I tend to lean more Illinois. I think it takes Luke Fickell a year to jazz up the
You
squad.
mean Wisconsin?
Yeah, no, I'm saying this year I'm leaning more Illinois.
Gotcha. Nate?
I'm with Alex on this one. I think Brett Bielema has got his shit together right now. Like you said, the way they ended last year, give Fickell a year, get his recruits in there, get his systems put in. But they're going to compete. It's going to be down to the wire, but I'll take Illinois in the end.
Yes.
All right. I agree with that as a whole.
So we're saying Illinois, Wisconsin, and then we're between Iowa and who? I would imagine Minnesota, somewhere in that order.
I would put Iowa, Minnesota.
Iowa, Minnesota,
Did
Nebraska.
we really drop Nebraska that low though?
Yes.
I mean, they haven't proved anything in years.
Yeah, I have no problem dropping Nebraska.
I think we're way off there.
You of all people.
We do this every year at the beginning of the season where he wants Nebraska to be better than they are.
That's fair. That's fair. But I really think that they should be higher.
Then
But
who?
yeah, that's
Minnesota. I don't
Yep,
think
you're right.
I think Iowa's, to your credit on a couple things. Iowa's just a team that beats who they're supposed to beat. It may be 10-6, but they're going to beat them.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I like what we have there. That's a good breakdown, Muff. So run it back for us.
All right, we have Illinois winning the Big Ten West. In second place, we have Wisconsin, followed by Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Purdue Northwestern round out the bottom two in the Big Ten West. We're not going to put records to this. We're just going to put them in the order we think they will be finishing.
That's good. That's a good take there, boys. And it took very little arguing.
Next week might be a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of just resigned myself to me and Muff probably gonna argue over that one. All right, so week 0, probably what, 8 games, Nate?
I think it was roughly 8 to 10, somewhere around there. Not very many.
The 2 games that matter: Navy versus number 13 Notre Dame, and San Jose State versus number 6 USC.
That's kind of a rivalry game right out of the gate.
I would like to see. And this is really bad. I would like to see Navy win. Now, as an Ohio State fan, you want the ranked opponent to stay ranked when you get to them. I don't.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how does Notre Dame come out of the gates. Was it last year? You lose them, and then you have a tight game against Toledo. Didn't look too hot, but then they finally started to get some games together. But at that point, you're like, you can't outweigh those 2 losses so early.
And then Ohio State beat the shit out of them.
Right.
So
I wouldn't mind seeing Navy beat him either because I'm not a Notre Dame fan. But I'm anxious to see how Zach Hartman does under the big lights when he's not down in Wake Forest.
I mean, if you're not rooting for Navy, you're not really American. So,
amen. I also want to see. I want to see USC tested.
I don't think.
Well, you better have the Pac-12 network because that's who's airing the game.
I do actually. If anyone needs to come to my house to watch it.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have the sports package.
Nice.
And the media deal for this is $10,000.
Benefits of being a bachelor. You can have whatever sports package you want on TV.
And then Nate, you have the Hawaii Vanderbilt game. Lots of info there.
Yeah, so we had shared this in a group text before where they were saying Vanderbilt might have to play their home games at a high school stadium. So I found an article earlier this week, and here's what I found. So Vanderbilt Stadium is currently going under construction in both end zones to add additional seating. You would think if you were going to do this, you would do it well enough in the offseason, it would be done by football season, but not in Nashville. So they're going to add a temporary video board in the south end zone. What that's going to look like on game day, who knows? The construction fencing is going to be moved back to provide more room behind the end zones, and they're also going to pad them to prevent injury. And furthermore, they go on to say that they will continue the construction Monday through Friday, and then on Friday before each home game, the crews will convert the stadium to get ready for game day on Saturday.
The sheer expense of that is just
how in the hell does this happen? Not alone in a major Division I program, but technically an SEC program.
That's supply chain, man.
I don't care if it's supply chain or not. I mean, you know,
and
the university
COVID.
got the money. You've had how many months to get this shit done?
Yeah. You're
And
right.
And the Rainbow Warriors are coming all the way across to the East Coast, and you're going to make them play it on a field that, hey, if you
And a
run past
construction
the line,
zone.
you might run through the fence.
Yeah, it's construction zone.
Then again, I mean, I don't think either one of these two teams are used to where the end zone is, so it should be all right.
Good point. man.
Savage.
Indiana releases first ever state branded beer that will be available at Hoosier home games. Indiana's probably going to need it this year. Hoosier Game Day Lager.
I'm surprised there wasn't a bigger school that came to be of this first, but I think I'm the one that sent that picture in the group text. And I think it's pretty neat. It's like the red and white stripe, kind of like their warm-ups are in basketball.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm pretty pumped about that.
I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm curious of how that comes to be. Is it based on the vendor, like the food vendor and the beverage vendor, like being willing to carry it? Because I have to feel like they have some say in what they have on hand.
West Lib should brew their own beer.
I don't know. I think if you're saying, hey, get the
100%
official,
that's got it.
the official beer of the university, that's going to sell.
It's a dry campus.
What, Indiana or West Lib?
No, West Lib. It's okay. I've never known that place to be dry anyway.
Well,
Anyway.
but they just like to advertise it that way.
Deion Sanders not happy with players not joining in on fights. gives a whole dramatic speech. Basically says, if they're fighting, we fighting. How do we feel about that?
So that's just dumb.
I think Nate summed that subject up pretty easy.
I mean, who was it the other day or last week or whatever? It was an NFL. They said, why are we going to fight in practice? I mean, you're going to have the repercussions in the game. You're going to get thrown out. You're going to cause your team penalty yards. So it's like, why are you encouraging your team to physically fist fight?
Loyalty, Nate. Loyalty.
You have
I guess
helmets. You have helmets on. Unless you're going to drop the pads and drop the helmets,
There's really
let's
no
not
reason.
do
not
this.
to.
I saw it was damn it, I can't. Hard Knocks. Jets players were coming off the sidelines making sure they were putting their helmets on before getting in the scuffle. It was
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
well,
if
suit
anything,
up.
you better get like a really good open hand slap to the face mask to really turn a guy's neck.
It's breaking necks.
I will put on a football helmet, a real football helmet, and let Jim punch me in the face with the helmet on.
You have to wear like an old school kicker helmet that has like
No,
the
that
lumbar.
wasn't part of it.
You just
Yeah,
said
no
helmet.
face.
You just said helmet.
That's not what these guys are wearing. I want to wear a helmet.
Promise?
Like, would
Fine,
you-
Alex, get you a Guardian cap. Are you happy?
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna wear a full face helmet like these guys are wearing and let Jim punch me. I mean, it's like
Sold.
you'll get like the whip.
Let's do it.
But yeah, but you're gonna break your freaking hand.
I'm okay with it. Let's do it.
Not
Can't
the
wear
first.
it.
Not the first time, Alex.
Won't be the last.
Nope. All right. Michigan self-imposes a 3-game suspension for Harbaugh. What do we think that's going to do?
Nothing.
So do we think that the NCAA will then turn around and suspend him more?
I don't know. I think Michigan's just trying to do a little cover your own ass here. But I just look, their first 3 games, of course, all home games.
Oh, they're trash.
East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green.
But like the NCAA rejected his 4. They're going to give him 3 themselves. Do we think the NCAA will say you have to add a 4th?
I do
I'm not
not.
sure what the NCAA is going to do.
I think this is a let's close this case out. That way we can move along and you don't see all the other things that may have happened.
But I don't think so, Muff. I think there will be other sanctions. I think this will be ugly. I think it's a bad move by Michigan, in my opinion.
I mean, didn't necessarily hurt Tennessee to self-impose things.
Yeah, but didn't they turn around and throw more on?
Yeah, they had a reduction in scholarships, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there were other things that happened after that, but how bad could it have been if they didn't do anything?
Almost like a plea deal.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. This could easily explode, but I think this is Michigan saying, we look what we did. We're good, right? Please
Yeah,
and
we're
thank
good
you.
soldiers. All right. Well, that wraps up the college football. We're now going to go to the helmet challenge after the break. It's the final showdown. Okay. This is the tournament to determine which is the helmet for our show. 12 teams in, 1 team out. We're going to have to go to our triple threat match to determine it there at the end. But let's get started from the top. And I will tell you, I did my favorite helmets when I put them in for the final. So there are a lot of blackouts in here. Okay. But
You
here
see
we go. Oregon versus Miami, the U.
If I had to pick based on these 2 helmets, it'd be Miami. But given the whole plethora of helmets, it's got to be Oregon.
Alex.
I think I'm with Nate.
Muff.
Ducks, moving on.
Boop. South Carolina versus LSU.
South Carolina.
Ooh, I'm going to go LSU because I found this shiny purple one.
And I don't think South Carolina really has anything else
Yep.
other than just that one, but maybe in white, right?
Neither
Yes.
really does LSU. LSU is kind of that different colors.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
But
I'm gonna have to go with LSU.
I'm also on LSU based on those two helmets and knowing that it's just changing colors.
Boom.
Yeah, come on, Carolina, do better.
West Virginia
You
versus
guys, you guys just took the color of royalty. Are we a blue collar show?
West Virginia versus Navy.
I'm going to put it out there that we already approached the topic with Jim that he would put WVU versus America. And he swears
I swear.
he showed me his notebook where he had planned out ahead of time what the order would be. So we're not going to hold it against him. But I'm not basing this on team favorites or country favorites.
Has to be about the helmet.
Which about the helmet. And based on the helmets, and because of the Coal Bowl helmets when they do the gray, I gotta go with WVU.
To Nate.
Sorry, Alex. I'm gonna have to go with Navy. The different alternates they come out with every year, especially for that Army Navy game, those are pretty spectacular.
Correct. Muff.
Anchors away, my boy.
Boom. Kent versus San Diego State.
San Diego State.
Yes.
That's an
The
easy one. Diego
most
State.
underwhelming matchup.
Yeah, it really was.
I think Kent State had some coin magic.
It did. This one's hard for me. Our boys versus Army.
It's Army. Duh.
I have to go with Army.
Army.
Yeah, I love this helmet. The Big Ten flop. Maryland versus Illinois.
I'm gonna go Maryland. That eye's boring me right now.
Yeah, I'm with Nate. Maryland.
Me too. Okay. Oregon, LSU.
Go Ducks.
Go Tigers.
Oh,
Quack
shit.
attack.
Yeah, sorry, Alex.
Go Tigers. Sticking with it.
Go Tigers.
This is a tough one. San Diego State, Navy.
Navy.
San Diego
Navy.
State.
Don't give
Muff.
up the ship.
This is some bullshit. You guys are just blind.
Why?
If San Diego State had more than just that helmet,
That
I can-
helmet is badass.
One good helmet, though.
it is, but that's the only one. Navy's got multiple, and they do a new one every year.
Army versus Maryland.
Army.
Yeah.
Yes, Army.
Okay.
C.
Three ways. This is a tough one. All three of you. What are your trains
Oregon,
of thought.
Navy, Army.
I'm gonna rule out Army out of those three. I'm down to Navy and Oregon.
I'm Army. Army and Oregon for me.
I know exactly which one I want. Navy.
Hey, Alex.
Navy.
So now we have. So, who is your winner, Nate?
I'm gonna have to say Navy based on the helmet that we have here in the graphic, and then I don't remember which year it was, but you guys might remember they actually had the one with all the different ships on it. And I think it was like I'm looking them up right now. It was like a sky blue helmet, and they had all the different, like I said, the battleships and everything on it. Those were my favorite ones. So I'm going Navy.
I'm going Army. Alex.
Navy.
2 for Navy. Muff.
Oregon. You beat
Yep.
them Ducks.
Yeah, move it.
What do we do?
You move it.
You have a consensus.
2 for Navy and 1 for the other ones.
No 2 wins. That's not how that works.
That
I
what?
thought it was whoever had the most votes.
Yeah, it's 2-1-1.
What do we do? They won.
It's not a unanimous decision. I mean, we're not going to sit here and belabor it for the next 3
This
hours.
is for the champion.
Have you met us? We're never going to come to an agreement ever on one helmet here.
This is for the champion.
Okay, then I choose Navy.
Navy is our helmet champion.
Now come at us in the comments section on any post of any social media you want and tell us if we're right or wrong. Because in the end of it, you're wrong, just like Greg.
I honestly think you guys are wrong here. I think Army, when I discovered this skull and crossbones helmet,
Well, yeah, because it's a skull and crossbones. We
Yeah,
get it,
that's
Jim.
your thing. Like,
We get it.
eh,
If they had
the
an
best
orange,
helmet.
if they had an orange Halloween helmet, you'd be all about it too.
absolutely. But this
Yeah.
is the best. All right, so Navy is our champion, and that is the sports stuff with Jim and Muff helmet championship.
All right, and that will take us into other interesting news in sports. Good, Jim. Glad you could do that for
My
us.
soul's still crushed.
interesting
News
news
in
and
sports.
sports.
I take you as more of an Army guy anyway, Jim.
Yeah,
You-
I ain't a seaman.
You're just a grunt. We all know that. You're just a grunt.
Yeah,
That's all. It's
aim
okay.
and shoot, baby.
In the baseball world, Pete Alonso, there's Mason Wynn's first major league hit ball into the stands. As an apology, Alonso gave Wynn a signed bat and a bottle of Don Julio
Thank
1941
you.
tequila.
So I saw the thing. I think I shared it where the guy's first hit gets thrown into the stands by the other guy, and apparently I did not know this, but it's tradition that your first hit you get to keep the ball.
Yeah.
And Pete Alonso takes the guy's ball and just throws it in the stands, like 30 rows in.
I think his thing was he was saying he didn't realize it was his first hit.
Yeah. And I thought, well, this guy's just being a dick. That's not true. He knew. But I did not know that he gave him a ball of Don Julio.
Mm-hmm. And a signed bat.
Yeah, I
That's-
believe that was who was I was watching. I was like the Little League World Series. I think I was watching their pregame, and they were talking about it because they had that Little League game the big league game at the Little League World Series last night. So one of the MLB guys said, "Oh yeah, you gave him a bat and a bottle of tequila."
That's nice. I take the hatred for that guy back.
And he did immediately. Like when he realized, he looked at the bench multiple times. He was like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
But
Well,
I
and
didn't
then
know
you
if he
see
was
the girl
sincere.
that got the ball didn't want to give it up.
Because she was trying to get something out of him. I'm sure she's like, "What are you gonna give me for it?"
Yeah, no. Hold on. I don't know if she was trying to get something out of it. Like she
I
felt
would.
the ball.
Well, they said she was holding on to the ball, and you saw one of the guys from the stadium come down to talk to her, and everyone's giving her grief, like, "Give it back, give it back."
Yeah,
But she
I'd-
didn't necessarily.
I'd be like,
know.
I want a free stack from the concession stand, and I'll give it back. I want some Dippin' Dots, and you can have it back.
Oh, she's gonna ask for more than that.
I just really would have done Dippin'
I mean,
Dots.
that's like who was it? Was it?
A large.
Yeah, wasn't it like Albert Pujols, like whatever home run? Someone caught it, and they wanted like a king's ransom for the ball.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
That's
she
a little
didn't.
different than like Mason Wynn's first hit.
I don't think she knew. I don't think that's fair.
I'm
She may
saying
have
what
not
I
known
would
what somebody
demand.
else was telling her.
I would
Yeah.
demand Dippin' Dots.
I would.
I
give
say,
me-
yeah, it's like, yeah, I'll give him the ball back, but I'm gonna personally give it back to him after the game and get an inside tour and whatever, get to get on the field and whatever.
Give me
Oh.
a $500 voucher to the food and beverage areas. Thank you.
I would just want beer in my seats moved. Or better seats the next game. Just give me beer. Because the beer prices are
give me beer and
ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't want to get my beer for the rest of the damn game. Like, I want to be in the front at the next, and you know what? I want to get beer of it for the next game.
One
I
of
wanna
those
be in the
seats where
front.
they like bring it to you.
Yeah, I don't want to get my beer. Don't make me wait.
give me
in
a
the
little
damn
bell
line.
and I can ding it whenever I want a beer.
Yeah,
It's like going to a Brazilian steakhouse. Yes.
Yeah.
Give me more meat, please.
More meat.
Yeah, love it.
Keep the green light on. Thank you.
Some UFC stuff happened. Sugar Sean O'Malley defeats Aljamain Sterling.
Aljamain Sterling, good.
Second
We
round
just talked about
TKO.
those tough games.
So that was cool. Spain took on England.
Wasn't Sugar Sean like an underdog? And
Yeah,
Aljamain
he's
Sterling
+200.
had multiple like title defenses. Like that's
Bantamweight.
a pretty big deal.
Bantamweight.
The only fight I watched this weekend was Rough and Rowdy, so I didn't go, but I bought it pay-per-view.
I'm kind of disappointed you all didn't go. I really
I was on call. I couldn't. And he was out of town.
It was not in the state.
could have done better.
It was 8 hours away.
I worked.
Spain wins the World Cup, Women's World Cup, beating England 1-0.
And England again drowns themselves in tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Fantasy football, San Francisco Giants announcer Dave Fleming finished last in his fantasy home football league. He has to work as a bat boy for one home game. That's awesome.
This is the like how the privileged get to dole out these punishments. It's not like, oh, we're gonna get you a $100 terrible ass tattoo. Or
I would lose on purpose to get to be a bat boy for the Pirates
Yeah,
for a game, and
right?
they suck. So
And then basketball news: the Knicks shockingly are suing somebody. According to a copy of a lawsuit, the Knicks state that I'm not going to pronounce that name for shit. A guy who worked for them from 2020 to 2023 sent the Raptors thousands of confidential files, including play frequency, a prep book, video scouting files, through the course of these 3 years after the team began recruiting him to join their organization. If this is legit,
that's some shit.
it's screwed up, but it is Dolan. So like, I don't know if it's really that legit.
Like Dolan the Duck.
No, like the owner. So, but espionage in basketball. So that's the interesting news in sports. I like how we don't put a lot of effort in interesting news in sports when football season's coming our way. We're just like, other things are happening.
The interesting sport is coming.
But literally a World Cup finished.
Yeah.
But you know what sucked? All these games were in the middle of the night. I actually like watching the World Cup, but I'm not going to watch it at 3 a.m.
Well, it's because it's not in our country.
Well, I know, but it should be at least closer.
Like, what do you want? Time
Or,
zones.
or do like the Olympics and like wait and
Replay. That's a good point. I'll give that
time
to
on
you.
better, you know?
I mean, I think they were replaying it, Alex. Or you could have like
Yeah, you could have
streamed it on
recorded.
Peacock later.
I need it to be easier. Like, I needed like a thing. I
You need
need
it spoon fed to you.
yes, absolutely.
Like NFL Red Zone, but for the World Cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Every evening I watch these
You
games.
realize now they're going to do that because we said it.
No,
Because we're
they can't.
influential.
It's impossible. You know
Why
why?
is it, Muff?
Because there's not enough goals scored for that to be
Oh,
success.
that's true.
But there's enough
Sure.
plays if they like streamed all the games starting at the same time and made it like a red zone thing where they just bounced from game to game, like whichever one was getting more exciting. I would watch like that 2-hour recap of the World Cup.
Because we came up with this idea, someone's going to charge $19.99 for this.
I'll make this up. I'll sit here and stream every Sunday morning during like the EPL and get the red zone.
Just goals.
The Muff Zone.
It will be
The
10
Muff
minutes. 10 minutes worth of
That could be
streaming.
misconstrued. I swear, it's not what you
And
think.
we'll get in so much trouble because it'd be like women's soccer and we're calling it the Muff Zone. No.
I know.
scratch that whole-
I'm
scratch
like,
that
this
whole
idea
name.
is not going well
Horrible
so
name.
far.
Horrible.
I was thinking like getting your Comcast bill and saying like Muff. I'm like, honey, it's not what you think.
Must have ruining marriages since 2023.
All right, let's move on to our new segment.
You
New
made up.
segment alert that I just made up. We're calling it Question for the Boys. Okay. First question. Who's going to win more this season, the Jets or the Lions?
Yes.
Jets, because they have more guys ready to help them win right now.
Alex.
Lions, because I'm a ride or die.
I'm going to go with Alex. I'm going to say Lions.
And this is how the betting show goes right there.
I'm gonna say
Somebody makes a
This is
somebody makes a
dumbass.
sensible opinion and has some thoughts, and then you two just be like, no,
Yeah.
this team,
Yep.
because
I'm going with Alex. All right, next question for the boys. We saw this on maybe a bar stool or something on the gram. You have to pick one NFL player to play every single position, so we have to clone him a bunch of times. Who are you cloning? That be your quarterback, your linebackers.
it's gonna be a tight end.
JJ Watt.
A current NFL player.
You know what? I'll give it anybody you want, Muff.
What do you mean?
Doesn't have to be current.
I'm gonna take Gronk.
Damn it.
Ooh.
That's what I was gonna say.
Give me a team full of Bo Jacksons.
Ooh,
Mm.
damn. Even better than Gronk. That's good. So, Alex, you sticking with JJ Watt now?
Yeah, because that's what I was mentally prepared for.
All right, that's fair. Okay,
Did you pick anybody?
I went with the Gronk. Last question: what athlete would you take a class from? As in, what athlete would you want to be teaching you, and what class would it be?
I gave my suggestion, but it was disapproved for the show, so I'll try to think of another one while you guys deliberate.
I want Pat McAfee. I want him to teach me communications class.
Okay.
Oh, so I thought this had to be current.
No.
No. I want Antonio Brown to teach
Oh
me
my
about
God.
head injuries and anatomy and physiology.
I can't. That was good. Nate.
If I can try to come up with a snappier one, I would, but I had one that wasn't as much. I was going to say, give me James Harrison for strength and conditioning.
Ooh.
Jesus.
I was gonna go
Talk about
Tim Tebow, Intro to Religion.
That's a
Ooh.
good one.
Well done.
Oh my goodness.
The new segment is taking a turn.
All right. This is the end of this week's episode.
Give or say philanthropic endeavors.
Sports stuff with Jim and Muff. I feel like we need to make some charitable contributions to many organizations after that.
I have skills with Ray Lewis.
God bless. Okay. Let's end this son of a bitch.
Follow us at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. sports.w/Jim Abraham Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Yeah, we're getting into the meat of the
Gun
fun
safety
stuff for
with
us.
Laborers.
Intro to criminology with OJ Simpson.
Woo.
As a reminder, share it with a friend, get with us on the social media, like, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle,
Get the bell on.
and remember to tell a friend, make a
Firework
friend,
safety with JPP.
and always be
Uh,
a friend.
I'm not Nate's